Hi, this is the business guy with Asset Protection Planners and Lawyers Limited, and people often ask me, can I put my LLC into a living trust? So my answer is yes, you can put your LLC into a living trust, but that's not the right question. The right question is, should I put my LLC into the living trust? And the answer is no. And here's the reason why. The reason is because an LLC is an asset protection device and a living trust is not. It is an estate planning tool. So putting the LLC inside of the living trust kills half of the LLC's legal protection. So we're going to talk about why a living trust is a good estate planning tool, but it won't protect you from lawsuits. Then we'll talk about how LLCs can prevent somebody from stripping your assets bare and leaving you out in the cold. And then in the end, we'll talk about two much better options than putting your LLC into a trust so that you can pass your LLC on to your kids or others when you die. So watch clear until the end of this quick video so you'll know exactly what to do. And by the way, please click the like button below so YouTube promotes this video. I'd really appreciate it. And if you're new here, please click the subscribe button and notification bell so that when more videos come out like this one, you'll be up to date right away. Here's why a lot of estate planners, a lot of asset protection people get this one wrong big time. With a revocable living trust, the word revocable means changeable. So if you set it up, you can also change it. So you can change the beneficiary to somebody else. Let's say you have a child that turns into a drug addict and it looks like it's going to be a lifelong thing. You think, well, you probably don't want that child to inherit $500,000 of your wealth, right? That's because you know what would happen. It would just go straight up their nose if they're into cocaine or whatever it is. So naturally, you're not going to want to encourage that habit and give them a big pile of money even though you love your child. But it wouldn't be in their best interest to receive a big pile of money, fuel their drug problem. So are you going to take them away as beneficiary? Maybe you can do some other arrangement. Maybe you'll have the trust pay for the rehab. So with a revocable living trust, you can make changes like that and you can incorporate them into the trust. On the other side, let's say somebody sues you and gets a judgment against you. When you have the power to change the trust, the judge can force you to use that power against your will to make changes to the trust. In other words, whatever you can do personally to that trust, in most cases, your creditor can step into your shoes and do the same thing. So that means if you can change the beneficiary to anybody on the planet, it also means your judgment creditor can step into your shoes and change the beneficiary of your trust to anybody on the planet, including himself. That is, if it's a revocable trust. Okay, now an asset protection trust is a different kind of trust. When we set up an asset protection trust for you, we have third-party trustees, and that's a different story. Listen, all trusts aren't created the same. Trusts are just contracts written however the author wrote them. In the same vein, not all vehicles are four-wheel sedans. There are motorcycles, there are dump trucks, there are race cars. Some vehicles are rockets that go to the moon. Some vehicles are submarines. There are different vehicles for different purposes, and there are also different types of trusts for different purposes. So not all trusts are the same just because they have the word trust behind them. Okay, now let's focus on the LLC. How does an LLC protect you? Some people think they can rely on insurance, but have you ever filed a claim? The insurance company will twist and squirm and do everything they can so they don't have to pay. So have insurance, but for real protection, set up an LLC. Okay, so here's how it works. Picture the LLC that we set up for you as a brick wall. On one side of the brick wall is your personal life. On the other side of the brick wall is your professional life. Let's say your real estate investments. Say somebody slips and falls on your property, like what happened to me. A tenant put a couch up to the second-story window and somebody climbed up on the couch and tumbled out the window. Fortunately, the injuries were less than they could have been. If you make the mistake of putting property in your own name, the lawsuit not only attaches to your property, but it attaches to you personally. You could be wiped out with one mishap, but not you because you own your property in a limited liability company, an LLC. Each LLC forms its own liability cubbyhole, so the lawsuit stops in its tracks inside of the LLC and does not jump outside of the LLC to seize your personal assets. By the way, we also place equity stripping mortgages or deeds of trust we record against the properties. These are initially payable to another LLC that we set up for you. Then if needed, we have a third-party lender that buys the liens and places the proceeds into an inaccessible account in an international asset protection trust. Watch our video on real estate asset protection for more information. So the bottom line is that when liability is on the property, the LLC can protect you from a personal lawsuit. Okay, so what if somebody sues you? What if the lawsuit comes from the other side of the brick wall? What if you're driving home from dinner on Saturday night and rear-end somebody in their car? You hit a pedestrian, a bicycle. In fact, a couple years ago, I was on a bicycle and got hit by a car, broke broke my neck. See my video entitled I Broke My Neck. Total freak accident. Had to wear a neck brace for 3 months until it healed. Hey, things happen. When you hit that pedestrian on Saturday night on your personal time, there are billboards in almost every big city with lawyers offering to sue you. It's automatic nowadays. Say you have $50,000 of insurance like this lady had who hit me, but my medical bills were $185,000. I went to ICU, plus tremendous pain and suffering that was beyond belief. Fortunately, my own insurance covered the difference, and more importantly, I wasn't paralyzed. So you get sued for more than your insurance covers, or you're a fraction over the drinking limit, and you're getting sledgehammered by a heartless law firm who just sees you as their next meal. So no matter how high your insurance limits, you can always get sued for more. Hey, happens every day. So how does the LLC protect you when the lawsuit hits the personal side of the brick wall? LLC statutes have what is called charging order protection. With charging order protection, the theory works like this. If we all pitched in to build a skyscraper, it would not be fair if one of the investors were sued and all of the other investors lose the skyscraper, right? So the LLC laws were drafted. So let's say you own 20% of that LLC that owns the skyscraper. The person suing you would attach a magnet, so to speak, only to your 20% portion of the LLC. We call this a charging order. And whatever the LLC pays you, your opponent would get in theory. However, they cannot take the property. They cannot take any assets from inside of the LLC, and they also cannot take away your membership in the LLC. Plus, they are forbidden from jumping into the LLC management and calling the shots. In other words, they don't have any voting rights. All they could get is whatever management decided to pay out of the LLC. But they cannot force you or anybody else to pay money out of the LLC. So your profits can pile up inside of the LLC and your opponent gets nothing. Now, it even gets better than that. Whoever has the right to receive the income from the LLC has to pay the taxes on that portion of the profits, whether they receive it or not. And that's according to Revenue Ruling 77-137. So your opponent receives no money, but they receive a big old tax bill instead. So that's the beauty of owning your investment property inside of an LLC. Now, in most states, you need to have 2 or more members to enjoy the charging order protection. Now, the good thing is the second member might be another LLC that you own. So there are ways that one person with more than one company can enjoy the benefits of charging order protection. Now, in 5 states, Wyoming, Delaware, Nevada, as well as South Dakota and Alaska, a one-person LLC can enjoy charging order protection. Moreover, you can be the manager of an LLC and control the entire company. You can receive as much of the income as the operating agreement allows and have no ownership. So again, the 2 big LLC benefits are, number 1, the LLC can act as a lawsuit protection shield when somebody sues your business. It can protect you from losing your bank account, your house, your car, etc. Number 2, when somebody sues you personally, the LLC can protect you from losing anything inside of it. So, public service announcement, beep, beep, beep. Here's the main point of the video. You put that LLC into a living trust and what happens? You're taking away the asset protection, aren't you? See where I'm going with this? With your LLC, somebody sues you personally, it can protect you from having that LLC taken away from you and anything inside of it. But if you put that LLC now inside of a living trust, the judgment creditor can step into your shoes and make you change the beneficiary of that living trust to your judgment creditor. The judgment creditor is the person who sued you and won the case. And now they not only own your living trust, but they also own all of the assets inside of it. And one of the assets inside of it is the limited liability company. So now they can take your LLC away from you. So that defeats the purpose of the asset protection of an LLC. Get it? So don't put an asset protection device inside of a tool that allows your creditor to take it away from you. And that's exactly what happens when somebody makes the mistake of putting an LLC inside of a living trust. Putting an LLC inside of a living trust is like having the strongest bank safe in the world and then writing the combination on the outside of the door. It's like having your front door locked for protection and then leaving the key outside in the deadbolt. So that's why it's so important to know these things and don't just listen to any old asset protection strategy. So if somebody recommends you put your LLC inside of your living trust, well, that's not a very well thought out strategy. So we don't put LLCs inside of a living trust. Okay, so here's the other major point. What is a solution? How do you pass your LLC on to your kids when you die? die. Let's say it owns real estate and you want your kids to own it when you pass. Solution number one is the LLC can be named in your will. Yes, it will have to go through probate, but that is a solution for passing your LLC on for estate planning purposes. Or solution number two, you write a succession plan in the operating agreement of the LLC. The succession plan says that when this member dies, that person's membership in the LLC goes to X. So you can name your children, for example. So you can put the estate planning provisions, the succession plan, into your LLC operating agreement. So that way you maintain the asset protection benefits while you're alive. See how that works? So that's the answer to the question I get so much, can I put my LLC inside of my living trust? And the answer is yes, you can, but the answer is also no, you shouldn't. So there are other better ways to pass the LLC onto your heirs that don't include losing your asset protection. So hope this was helpful. Please click like, subscribe, and share this video with others. See you next time. This is The Business Guy.